So the firstly, I read the publisher of my books, Kotati Tagit. Oh yes, it's here. Oh, I very much appreciate. Of course, later I found more sold my book. I also get some money. But the real original idea, still the main motivation is the some of my sort of thought or idea on the basis of my own experience. Is they reach more wider people, then at least I think some people get some benefit. So that's my main motivation. So you are helping on that respect, so I appreciate. How many different language? How many different language? 27. So including Chinese? Oh, you should include. But for the time being, of course, you cannot cannot go to Tibet, go to China. A lot of restrictions. But many Chinese in Singapore and in Taiwan, and also overseas, I think many really showing interest. And in fact, in China, in recent years, the interest about spirituality very rapidly growing. So according to reliable sort of sources, now in China, the number of Buddhists nearly 200 millions in China. So traditionally, China is a Buddhist country. And Chairman Mao's family, mother, also Buddhist. And the mother of Chiang Kai-shek, also Buddhist. So these two Buddhist women produce, I think, good children. So then your book, I very much appreciate about Mount Everest, right? So the highest mountain on this planet. So I think physical level, you see, many people trying to reach the top. That also some, wonderful sort of
Achievement. Achievement.
Achievement. A wonderful thing. Of course, some cases, I think they even sacrifice their own life because quite dangerous. But at the same time, within ourselves, there are, I think, a lot of opportunity to climb higher. So without a physical danger or physical difficulties, I think everybody can climb that mountain, spiritual mountain, higher. Then the more you reach higher, then you can see the lower area. And then I think you will see some of your early part of life. And then you realize, oh, stupid, silly. No aim, no purpose, isn't it? So the more higher you can see, also the wider thing, like that. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, you asked yesterday the further explanation about the subtle level of ignorance. Every human being and also the animals, and also insect. Every sentient being have the, of course, those sort of mammals or sentient beings, no word, no language, but still all have the common experience, feeling of I. So with that, as a self-cherishing, every sentient being have that. Now we human beings have the ability, firstly, I think with the help of language, and also, I think, great masters through their own experience. You see, as a result of their, I think, thorough investigation about the function of emotion. Of course, the concept of Atma, that also only exists in human being, no animal. But feeling of mere I is common, all sentient beings. But something I, independent, like an independent owner of body and mind, these are human creation, the creation of human thought. Now another feeling of I, which is again universal, other sentient being also. Now, although they cannot express, now we can express. So now here, briefly yesterday also I mentioned, you see, when we develop feeling of I'm going this, I want to go here and there, like that. That level, when our mind not disturbed, during that moment, the feeling of I is something another level. Then some disturbances happen. Then the feeling of I a little bit stronger, like defend oneself, or some cases even offensive. Then the feeling of I, another level, much stronger. Now I think our daily life, attachment or hatred or anger, all these, you see, without, because this side, subject side, I, you cannot say good and bad. You cannot cannot develop attachment or cannot say nice or bad. Nice or good or bad, not objectively. Maybe some cases, maybe, but generally, whenever we see, we feel this is good, that means good for me. I said, "Man,
So without this sense of I, then it turns out to be like a sound of a clap with one hand absent. So a sound of clap cannot occur. So likewise, if there's no sense of I, then such emotions cannot arise.
So all these emotions, attachment, detach,
Aversion.
Aversion. Both, the other side, it appears me bad, so aversion. It's nice to me, therefore attachment. So all these emotions, and also I think something like faith or even compassion. There is possibility with strong illusory I. Right? Due to that, some strong compassion or strong faith, also possible. But essentially, faith, there are two kinds of emotion. One emotion by spontaneous, like attachment or anger. Of course, some superficial reasons there, but not deeply rooted on reasons, but spontaneous response. So these spontaneous emotions usually no sound basis. So these emotions ultimately based on ignorance, without knowing the reality fully. But you see, on the level of, on the basis of appearance, you see, you decide this is good, this is bad. Now another level of emotion, faith, compassion, these things through training, not spontaneous. Through training you need some valid basis.
Valid basis.
So therefore, such emotion, essentially not based on ignorance, but reasons or logic or
valid cognition.
So we can, now these things we have to, through our own experience, you see, watching or judge, investigate on our own daily experiences, then eventually on subtle level you can make distinction. This kind of emotion, you see, spontaneous, not based on reasons, and then further investigate is, one good thing, a short moment looks very good, so strong attachment. Then hearing or seeing a little bit negative things, immediately change that. So the same reality, but previous attachment based on ignorance. Now thorough investigation and develop certain wish, that result of thorough investigation. So these are not spontaneous emotion, but certain emotion through reasons and also through training. So basically, you see, there are two kinds of emotion. Now that emotion, more spontaneous, briefly yesterday also I mentioned, when we were very happy mood, and good sleep, and perhaps good lunch. So now almost is the feeling of little sleep. very comfortable, right? Yes. So at that moment, still is a feeling of I there. And then someone knocking your room and brought something very bad news, or for example, or such person, you see, accuse you, then immediately, I. Although the both feeling of I, because of the calm level or strong sort of
reaction,
defensive or something, both case, appearance, independent appearance is there. But first level, there is no grasping that independent existence. The second one, on the basis of appearance, grasping that independent self. What do you think? Some differences? So the thinking, selflessness. Selflessness does not mean non-self. Self is there, but not that kind of independent, absolute self. So more familiar about that idea, And when it's just someone someone is bring a news or someone accuse you, then that moment, oh, pity, this is baseless, groundless, but okay. Because the feeling of I, then more soft. Mere I, feeling I, there. But solid, independent feeling of grasping, independent, solid I, much less because of familiar selflessness idea. And that also, as we develop that sort of grasping feeling of I, develop, at that time, we wrongly confirmed the appearance, independent because of the appearance. Now the wisdom is, if that independent appearance of the self, there must find out, must be
findable.
Findable. So then analyze, where's I? Analyze body, my body, not the I. Mind, my mind, not me. So further go like that. Usually in the mental level, most cases, within Buddhist school of thought, most cases, the final sort of identity of self, usually the pointing on mind. So they further investigate mind, awakening state, mind, dreaming state, mind, deep sleep, mind. Now which one? You can't pinpoint. Awakening mind, during sleep, no longer there. So being still there, I still there, I'm sleeping. Right? So you cannot pinpoint, right? One of the mind in the awakening state. That's certain. Now eye consciousness, the sensorial consciousness, very powerful, but you cannot consider one of these sensorial consciousness as an eye. Then go to sixth mind. The sixth mind, awakening state, dreaming state, and deep state. Go like that, through that, analyze, you can't find. Even mind itself, you cannot find. Mind is continuation. Continuation involves past, present, future. Through investigation, you can't find the present. Only past and future. Without a present, you can't say past and future. There must be present. But if you analyze, no present. Clear? So, if things are independently existed, then we must find the independent nature. Since we cannot find, so then answer is mere designation on the combination of many factors just designated. So consider compassion said, Mata Majabangone, you enjoy it.
So it is for this reason that things are posited simply on the unanalyzed level, conventional level.
So that's the way the appearance of independence or absolute. If that's the reality, then we must find. Then if we carry investigation, we can't find. In the meantime, you cannot deny these things. Physically is there, I is there. I can talk. I is there. If we deny I, that's foolish. I is there. But I, as appear, that kind of I does not exist. I is just a mere designation. Now some point? Clear? That, the realization, non-existence of independent I, That's wisdom. So the emotion which kasota, grasping, independent, kasota, absolute I, that's ignorance. So these two things are direct contradiction. So the only way or only method or only counterforce about that ignorance is this wisdom. That's the only counterforce. Right? Like that. But still, these things, you see, we need investigation, and sometimes it's useful to let anger or attachment. Then one part of your mind, then watch, investigate what kind of sort of nature of that that emotion, and to that emotion, what kind of appearances, what kind of grasping. That's chalacharya.
So these are things to be analyzed.
When you have some experience to watch our own mind, firstly mindfulness, then also shishinkasa.
And also introspection.
Then it happened when we lost our anger, then immediately part of our mind watching the anger. Then as soon as watching anger becomes weak. So usually we simply, you see, when develop anger, whole our mind, whole oneself, almost become like angry body. Yes. So as soon as your part of your mind separate, watching anger, then anger automatically
subsides.
Subside. So these, and then, so therefore, you see, meditation on mind, or Zen practice also is the same. Many tradition, and many sort of the Hindu tradition, same, watching mind. I think first step, watching here, concentrate here, isn't it? Like that. And also they meditate on breathing. I think breathing is something like first step. Compare mind, breathe is more grosser. But compare external object, breathing is more subtler. So just concentrate on breathing. Coming,
breathing in, out.
Going. So that's something, I think, first step of training of mindfulness. Then gradually, mind itself. And then gradually, very nature of the mind. There are also two levels. Conventional level of nature of mind. Then once, you see, there you need meditation on thoughtlessness. Usually our nature of mind covered by thought or sensorial
perceptions.
Sensorial perception. So we have to stop all the sensorial
perceptions,
activities.
Engagements.
Stop. Then just mind, sixth mind. Mind also, now there are a lot of thought. So stop this thought. Then thoughtlessness state. Then your experience, gain more deeper experience, you remain a bit longer on thoughtlessness state. Then gradually, luminosity of nature of mind, then gradually appear. Then furthermore investigation. What's that mind? You can't find then. Then again shunya. Shunya of mind. So that is, since the mind is the main creator, so creator's own sort of selflessness, understand, is very powerful wisdom. So tantric practice mainly was emphasis on that. And also dzogchen and chakchen.
Dzogchen, the great completion practice, and the Mahamudra or chakchen.
Oh. But sometimes you see, some people consider, some people make use of chakchen and dzogchen very easy way. That I little doubt. One time in San Francisco, this is just after the severe earthquake, so one might visit. At that time, you see, the organizer arranged my car. So my car drive by one member of one Buddhist society there. He also practiced dzogchen. So I just casually asked, during severe earthquake, what do you feel? And he mentioned, very good occasion, practice of dzogchen. I think, you see, he considered dzogchen means to
be totally shocked. Feeling shocked.
When someone becomes mesmerized or when someone becomes perplexed.
So, a moment, some kind of thoughtlessness. Seems, I'm not very sure, but according to his expression, it looks he considered that's dzogchen. No, that's not dzogchen. Dzogchen, see, not easy, because it's analytical meditation, difficult. So through just experience. So much depends on luck, good luck.
Grace.
Grace maybe. So the dzogchen rigpa
Awareness. Clear
that's
awareness.
something, thoughtlessness, but at the same time, very clear. So everything appear, but without grasping. So not some kind of dull or mental state of shock, not that way. So it is not easy. So that is a rough explanation about wisdom and the fundamental subtle level of ignorance. So these explanation available, more precise, subtle level explanation available only in Madhyamika text. Broadly, Abhidhamma Karika and those, I think, Pali tradition also you see mentioned about ignorance, and particularly when they mention about 12 links, the Four Noble Truths, further sort of expand. Then 12 links. There's Abhidhamma Kosha, Karika also is mentioned that. And then all Buddhist school of thought is to consider the ultimate source of suffering is ignorance. But when we define
when we try to classify or define what constitutes this ignorance, so then depending on how you posit the ultimate reality, then they differ in positing what constitutes the ignorance, subtle ignorance.
And then way of reasoning, the Parmana Vartika Karika, that also I think available in Sanskrit, isn't it? Still. Namdisawa. Yorwa. Original text in Sanskrit available. Dharmakirti's sort of writing. Parmana Bhattika Karika. I think those even just scholarly, I think really worthwhile to look these texts. There are 4 chapters. The second chapter explain through reason, through logically explaining about 4 noble truths. But then they pinpoint about 3rd noble truth. Then the Pramanavattika Karika's explanation is not sufficient. So we must take the explanation from Madhyamika philosophy. That's mainly Nagarjuna's work and also the Chandrakirti, Buddhapalita, Chandrakirti, their text is the finally we have to study these texts. So now, Kasa, the text, now read that text. No, not that one. Ka, main, no, Dinda. Ka, the Shirliwa. Tanga Shirlu Shai, Tanga. Ka.
So now we read the book distributed yesterday.
So I think yesterday, because of that, as a part of, it was an introduction of Buddhism. I read, you see that, the first few sentences.
From the 9th chapter, from the wisdom chapter.
So that did translate the Deshik Chujukunga, say, Dawarshapa,
Yes. That was in relation to His Holiness explaining the first stanza from the chapter 1, which says that respectfully I prostrate myself to the Sugathas. So in relation to explaining as to what constitutes or how one understands Sugathas, His Holiness connected it to the wisdom chapter.
So as I mentioned yesterday already, in order to know the Sugata, Dawarshapa, Sugata, we have to know the possibility of elimination of ultimate source of suffering. That we already discussed something. And then in order to make possibility of elimination. Yes.
In order to understand the possibility of eliminating the subtle ignorance and suffering.
You see 2 things. One, the ultimate ignorance or ignorance. Firstly, I think we have to know the very nature of the deepest level of ignorance. In order to know that, we must know the ultimate reality of everything. That's shunya nature. So that's study that or thinking that seriously, then you get the conviction, there is a possibility. Because there is antidote of these emotion. These emotions are actually not based on valid reasons. And then another factor, we must know the reality, even conventional level. The subtle mind's nature is pure. Like water, no matter how much muddy water, still the very nature of the water is pure, clean. And also, ice looks very solid, but its very nature is water. So that solid, like rock, some some different factors come. It always is possible to melt and become water. So muddy water, very dirty, but always possible. The very nature, the muddy way, muddy never destroy very nature of the clean water. So similarly, our mind, very nature of the mind is neutral. So there we need
in order to understand the true nature of this mind, in the conventional sense, the clarity, the luminosity nature of the mind, it would be really helpful if we can study the Uttara Tantra, the sublime continuum.
Rahul Sangi kyun betare kare? Rahul Sangi kyun betare? Ngamne yore. Rahul Sangi. He brought some, because the original text from Tibet. I was told he actually stolen, but that's good thief. So he stolen from Tibet, so it survived. So that book, very very helpful is to know the ultimate reality,
the true nature of the mind.
True nature of mind. And further sort of explanation, Guhi Samanta is the best. And also Dzogchen, Chakchen, also using very much emphasis about that pure nature. Yes. But sometimes maybe a little bit extreme. Some text of Dzogchen and Chakchen, a little bit extreme.
So in some of these texts, there's a reference that the very basic mind that we have now at this present moment, it is in the state of Buddhahood.
So Buddha already here. So then, ultimately we have to accept miserable Buddha. That's impossible, isn't it? Oh. So Buddha nature is good. Seed of Buddha. The Sakya tradition is mentioned that sort of subtle mind, innermost subtle mind, or clear light. 그래서 콘데 예면 샤인도 근데가다 근식 규규 다 육심 신도 차와 근식 규규스라니 근식 규규 때 코레처 담제 세닉수도 상 살랑 연대 담제 살랑 똑바남 연대지 수도 상 데뷔처 담제 뉴트수도 상 스타디 아우샤도
in the Sakya tradition, there's the explanation on the inseparability of samsara and nirvana. So there, they point to one state of mind known as the kunshi duguru. Yeah. So there's one mind, alivigyan, this mind, and they describe this mind.
Not similar. The Chitta Mandara Sotu.
Explanation of the alivigyan. So the terminology is the same, the reference is different. And the reference of this word, Kunshidugu, so they give three characteristics. One, saying that it is endowed with the qualities of samsara in its own characteristics, number one. And number two, these realizations, the spiritual realizations of the paths and the grounds, they are innate in the form of its qualities or attributes. And the third, the resultant state of the Buddha, they are there in the form of seed, in the form of potential.
So that's quite sensible. Good. 딱 그래야 돼. So that's Sukata, says. The Deshik Chuk Kunga, say, Chuk, says to
No.
Dharma.
No.
Sadi Dharma Kaya said, Dharma Takaya, Dharma Kaya. Mo Nijiku. Chunijiku, Chugu.
So here, if you read the first stanza of chapter 1, it reads, respectfully I prostrate myself to the Sugatas who are endowed with the Dharmakaya. So here, there's a reference made to this Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya, in fact, the same can be understood by different terminologies, like the truth body of the Buddha, the truth body.
Chunijiku Slavna, Pajing Monigul Juyare. Chujiku is issued it in a teacher.
So if you use the word the truth body,
Dharmatakaya Slav, you can say. Dharmata, Giant, Chunijiku Sadre. Chuni imba.
So here, when it says, who are endowed with the Dharmakaya, instead of that, if you say Dharmatagaya, it refers to the truth body of the Buddha, which then constitutes this truth body exclusively. And whereas if you simply put it as Dharmakaya, then it constitutes also the wisdom body of the Buddha.
Now, in order to know is that, now ultimately we have to get information from Guhi Samanta. It's the best source. So that means the subtle mind, subtle energy, innermost subtle mind and subtle energy, which no beginning, no end. So if you ask why beginningless, then answer is nature. Why is it?
By nature.
By nature. When Shiva Seri nature.
If somebody asks you the question as to why the mind has the nature of luminosity and knowing, then again it's simply by its own nature that it is made that way.
Nature.
Again, the question is, as for the physicality, the physical objects, we say that these physical objects, they are derived from the 4 or the 5 basic elements. And why is it the case that all these physicalities, they are constituted of these 5 or the 4 elements? Again, the answer is the same. It's by nature that they are made that way.
So, the 죄배 고르디 시식도 춘이지르고 아니 가서 저치르고 듀르고 떼베르고 듀르라 말에 떼베르고 듀르 떼바 다디 떼베르고 듀르 떼베 춘이 답에 춘이지로 답 해주래 다 이내고 듀드니지로 왕게 듀대왕게 듀드니지 좀 그랬선 거라 자바차스도 와. 그 제부든지 제부디 주든지 정말 송인 고래 있는데 자바차스도 와. 자, 자바 지루직. 다시는 자와시베르 봐. 두텔 네버든지 제빈지잖아요. 디 기벤 제부디 가나 네버든지 요고 그래 사티디. 자와시베르 거치래. 다 디리 실샤니 땅 안서 디샤는 알로 핑그리 디샤는 야고야 말했잖아요. 아니 다 가서 릭베 뻔. 디디 실샤. 아주 대원 대화도 동에면 누구지? 죽어야면 누가? 예를 봤다. 나오냐면 로데다 소화디 예를 봤다. 다 들린지잖아요. 소화 대원 대화도 동에면 누가 있지잖아요. 다 유지들 다 치던 난게 유지들 째니. 아도 소화디 누구 땡칭 디들라 잡아채. 단 디잖아 편도 가도 디잖아 내가 가도 왔다. 엔테주고 가시래.
When you try to understand the external world or the world within, So it is done with the help of 4 understandings or 4 principles. And number 1 is referred to as the natural, the principle of nature. And number 2 is the principle of functions, which says that through understanding the cause-effect relationship, then when this cause, because the cause which gives rise to the result has a particular potential or particular characteristics, the result as well should have these potentials or characteristics. And the third one is the principle of dependence, which that the understanding of which helps you gain the insight into how the results are given rise to by the respective causes. And finally, the principle of facts, the principle of reasoning, or reasoning, which says that, say, we as beings, we have a natural sense of desire, a sense of desire for happiness, not wanting suffering. These we don't need any validation. So with these things, with these as the ground, then we look for, we try to infer so many more things in order to acquire what we seek and in order to dispel what we dislike to have. So we use all kinds of reasonings to infer what needs to be acquired, what needs to be, how to get those things we seek and how to remove those things we dislike. So this is known as the principle of reasoning. So in fact, if you again go back to the handout, the...
I'm sorry, you see, I deliberately tried to create more confusion among your mind.
So he's only saying that it's the way I'm teaching is sort of like a crow making his nest without any proper order.
And since you see, they make really great effort to translate, right?
No, translation.
Rearrange. So you see, these few verses here is very much relevant. You see, our discussion.
No.
This one.
No.
Paper the Napas the Lungdan Yagare. Paper the color gives you they live in the little and near Taujamus.
So His Holiness is joking that this handout might feel sad that, oh look, I came all the way from my place to here expecting that His Holiness is going to go through this and then now leaving untouched.
That's in that. 9th chapter. Modi. Tanda Tagi and Kasuri. Conventional Sitagi. Tanya and Bergenburg, Tamdun the Bergenburg, Kasuki Shungswa. That should the Sumba that did Castle of Sari, Telegic love Sari. Right? Nanjoba and Rocky Komokman University, Castle of Sari. Down, Digi, Piggy, never Yonyati, never Tanyati, one shen never Tamarwa. Right? Physical force Marvata. Dee never the Karasluna, Piggy, Jigbin never. Jigbin never Suzanne, Paru Jig, that part was named to social in the Chashane, Narki Jig, Dindijay, some. Dushir Yodavate, Yan Samstan into Chidr Son de la Ribbon never Yodava. Any Yamyumuton, Gendu Yuduna, that Narkisos Yishishoko, that Pambari. Tell her Ribbon no Yungyari, no and no Yungyari. So the name in the Zane, that those spoken never nurture Pangni, never tamed the Zane. 시직 니가 로 되든지 시직 안에 그 가서 그게 pero 거니 엔 딘데 타네 다 딘디지 니자로 가서 누구 알아봤어 다 뒤이나 자기 당구 캘린티 잖아 애니 뒤 내용도 생시하시도 그래서 딘데 니가 야는 내배 베스다디
Yesterday we went through the two levels of reality, conventional and ultimate. And we also read through stanza 1 to 4. The fourth stanza reads, through differences in their intelligence, the view of yogis too are undermined by progressively higher ones. By means of example accepted by both and because unanalyzed, both engage in practices for the sake of the result. The first two lines is not that the other side the other view is undermined by force, by physical force. Rather, it must be done by means of giving reasons and analysis. And then, even within yourself, earlier you must be accepting something, and then later on, through more analysis and through one's personal experience, you come to know that the earlier standpoint is wrong, then you give up that. So this is what is meant by undermining progressive, the lower ones are undermined by progressively the higher ones. Then the line 3 and 4, by means of example accepted by both and because unanalyzed. So here, this third line says that the way and the manner in which we try to undermine the other view is that, first of all, there must be a common ground which is accepted by both the parties, the opponent and the proponent. And by citing that thing accepted by both sides, then you try to convince the other side, the other party, that if you hold on to this your own standpoint, your unique standpoint, then this is what is going to be rejected, what you have to undermine, which is actually accepted not only by me but you as well. So here it says, by means of examples which are acceptable to both the sides, then the analysis is carried on to refute the position of the other side.
자장아 다 난저바도 지든 저윤도잖아요. 다 그게 지배 직전배 즉 통주의 신주로 강하라 지배 나바여서 때 아니 지배 잡아지는 데 되게 지배 거윤도는 내용이야. 그래서 봐. 다 안데 다 배직강 우모버잖아. 우모버다 뭐마원이 자리이나. 양나 단위의 약수제. 런시 여벌 마와도 런시 매번 마왔어. 다 단위의 자리는 우모버 낭실이다 여체인 거야. 저 런시 여벌 마와도 런시 매번 마와. 즉 현실로 있는 단위도 랑전 되버도 민도 니치네. 다 디니 바랄이야. 다 통주 해봐 싶지도 봐. 참여자다 면자 용기 동力단다 대단히 면자 용기 아니 내주방구 저 달이야. 탄여도 랑선 미시비 그도라 내주방구 찍라 아니 그 대세자다 면자실행도. 자 진짜 인도잖아요. 지진면이. 자 진짜 인도 된대기다 그 시지 간라 다른 자로 되버서 그러다 지금 투문기 뒤수 직주인데 지기 니게다 가서 캘래야지 실시한 데가 안다고 결에니 지들 되는 신 뒤차야 말이야. 다도 스저인데 애니와나 애니 우모버 견항을 롤라 애니 랑세가 이르잖아요. 애니 가양 셔야 매버려. 저 가양 매버려 왔어. 나 있는데 말이지. 우모버 롤래 실험 그래서 문화사 3월로 우모베 롤 되게 우모베 열심히 해봐 말 롤도 3월로 시작했어. 봐. 다음에 그래서 시작을 있나? 이 데뷔도 맞으셨어요. 데뷔사 고아디 다 사람 그 데뷔를 하면도데 딱 한다 그게 팬은 돼야. 그봐 데뷔 팬은 돼야 생긴디 캐런 그래. 대 영향이 지금 유리 3월로 젠 단딩이 여버 시샤가 타네 아니 다 단딩 타네 여버지는 젠이야 요청이로다 그래서 런루기 젠이 니야 제요 말이스 마다 마셔는 거네 팬은 제베 그게 가서 우리 존재로 서 삼으로 요리 제비도 맞지.
And then reading the last line of the same stanza, unanalyzed, both engaged in practices for the sake of the result. In fact, the debate is a debate. As the argument of the debate going on between the two sides, we can put it in different ways. One, the proponent, or the one side is the Madhyamikas and the other side is the non-Madhyamikas or the lower schools. Or we could put it in a different way. The better way would be the proponents of inherent existence and the opponents of inherent existence. And still another would be the side accepting inherent existence on the conventional level, and a side rejecting inherent existence even on the conventional level. So because of the acceptance of inherent existence and the other side rejecting inherent existence, we see that there's a stark contrast in positing the different concepts, such as as to what constitutes the valid mind, as to what constitutes the ultimate reality, and so forth. Now, when the discussion is held as to by pointing the common example and then rejecting the position of the other side, according to the Madhyamikas, for the Madhyamikas, the lower schools, they reject by saying that if things don't exist inherently or intrinsically, then how can you account for the existence of the phenomena? Then the Madhyamikas, or those rejecting inherent existence, come up with the position that, while there is no inherent existence, still we adhere to the functionalities of the basis, the parts, and the results, and so forth. So if you read the last line again of stanza 4, it says, unanalyzed for the sake of the result, or both engaged in practices for the sake of the result. Even the Madhyamikas, or even those proponents of the emptiness of inherent existence, they also seek to achieve the results such as enlightenment and so forth. So they do accept the functionalities, they do accept things, but what is being rejected here is that if there is something existing from one's own nature, then it must be findable through analysis. And then upon analysis, through analysis, there is nothing pointable, nothing findable. So what is rejected here is objective existence and not existence altogether.
Number G no danglia, ye the mid sati, Samen Miko, ye the change the body, Sama Ran Jaji law. Zindan turn machoji, macho sorry. Milua. Yabajibina, Tinjaji law Samaji Yavina, the Chet Yavin Mari. Duji Sama Manor, Chet Shadow Mari. That the name is an authority. Cassandra. Didn't you do or the Tanya Church, Mata Majabangani, Panungus drinking church Ashati, that Saman Georgie was. That was an Saman Jordan Mentaslicuri. And the Shamde Chadway in Saman means Saman means that Samadi, Chonge, Saman Duluti, Ranzana, Milu Samalashani. Didn't you Saman to Yomaris? Rangza Tanya to Yomaris, Rangza now to true Chevaris. One of them look at the George Samakarisuna, Mata Machabangane, Rangza now to the true already, Ine, Lotiki, Chita Suin, Zindang 20, turn net here, any Samay Digon show yours. The Indu, just some Samadro Yomarzaki, Chanmanda.
Then now the question is raised from Buddhist perspective, from the Buddhist logic perspective of the Buddhist logic, as to how would you define existence? Then all the Buddhist schools commonly state that It is whether something is validly posited by a valid mind, posited by a valid mind. Anything which is posited by a valid mind is posited as existence, and something which is not backed by a valid mind is posited as non-existence. Then according to the Madhyamika school, or those rejecting inherent existence, posit things only on the conventional level. Then the question is, how do we go about positing those things on the conventional level? So while things are rejected existing from the object side or from the inherent nature, when positing conventionally, then there must be a valid mind to approve that, to validate the existence of that. So what constitutes that valid mind which validates the existence of something? So it is for this reason that the Buddhist philosophers rejecting inherent existence and the philosophers accepting inherent existence, they differ in terms of positing what constitutes the valid mind to support or to validate the existence. And from the point of view of those rejecting inherent existence, the valid mind should be something. In terms of their appearance, it could be deceptive. But in terms of the minds engaging into the object, it is non-deceptive. So it is on the basis of the valid minds engaging into the object, that we classify a particular mind as valid or invalid, and not from the point of view of the perception or from the point of view of the appearance, what kind of appearance happening to the mind. On the appearance level, all these minds are equally deceptive. So we read stanza 6. It says, first we read stanza 5. The common world sees functional things and conceives them to be truly existent, not like an illusion. In this regard, there is dispute between the yogis and the common world. But even form and so on, which are perceived by direct perception, are but a convention that is not perceived by valid cognition, which views the ultimate. Form and so on. Okay, so here are but a convention that is not perceived by valid cognition. So this valid cognition should not be understood literally. So this is a very special valid cognition with respect to inherent existence, with respect to inherent existence. So such a valid cognition is not acceptable according to those philosophers rejecting inherent existence.
That issue would be sure done today. Shologa Nishutangabati.
We go to stanza 25.
Chidur Tongdu Shabata didn't go for Chamindays, didn't do it to Damper Top and Doxing, so that day. That is Ramakrishnan and the Tesson and Nikiji out of theatre. Chidur Tongdu Shabata didn't go for Chamindays, didn't do it to Damper Top and Doxing.
So, what I've been discussing with the venerable monk from Ramakrishna Mission is exactly what is discussed here on stanza 25, which says that those which are seen, heard, or known are not to be negated. Here, instead, the conception of true existence, which is the cause of suffering, is to be rejected.
Appearance because Ramun was not your dinner, that thing can cut away. Right? That tell you, Ramun to which the now and she, Ramun to shanding in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe Kayala, Zimbabwe Lotich the soon and she turned to your maris, turned to the cow. So Tanya do answer quiet.
So here, this stanza says that in terms of how things appear to a mind, they all necessarily appear to a mind as existing truly and inherently. So this is what we cannot stop. So what we can truly stop is our minds engaging into the objects to be truly existent the way they appear to our mind. So to reject that, or to stop our mind from engaging into inherent existence of the object, we should reject the existence of inherent existence. So it is on this basis, it is on this ground that inherent existence is rejected, even on the conventional sense or conventional terms.
So now remaining, after some time, perhaps next year, more detail. Now, that in the beginning, that book.
Now we go back to the main book, main book.
Now here, within Buddhist tradition, Pali tradition, she mentioned Buddha Shakyamuni till he enlightened at Bodh Gaya. He was ordinary sentient being, sostyo.
Yes, ordinary sentient being. Yeah.
So at Bodh Gaya, he Cholam Tenching ne Cheni, and in Sanya.
Yes. So here, so according to this system, Buddha Shakyamuni, originally he was believed to be just an ordinary sentient being, and then just in one sitting of meditative sitting, he achieved the path from the path of preparation all the way to the diamond, the adamant and diamond-like meditative concentration, then finally achieved Buddhahood.
Dajitana Sanjebe Kolia, Dushinane, Numung, Ori, Di Nunute, Duke Chundru Cheni, Di Chambe, Dinging Pumpkin Zeni, Hyper Dulike. That in a Torah, Novazo Sanjebe Kolia, Numung Dulike. That the under Kushin Najari, Dig Chida Dulike such. Any Pungudulia, the Zajoton, the young and David, something in Pungudulia. So, do she to jump him into one?
Okay, then, so here, again, according to this system, when, according to the Pali system of Buddhism, it says that the Buddha Shakyamuni, the day before achieving the Buddhahood, he was first being provoked or intimidated by the demons. And these demons, they are being undermined or subdued by the Buddha Shakyamuni's meditative concentration of compassion. And so thereby, out of the four demons, and the Buddha subdued the demon of the celestial being. And then, at the time of dawn, the Buddha Shakyamuni dispelled or subdued the demon of afflictions. And then the Buddha Shakyamuni, by blessing his the lifespan, he subdued the demon of the death, the Lord of Death. And then at Kushinagar, and the Buddha Shakyamuni, when assuming the state of parinirvana, he undermined or subdued the demon of the contaminated aggregates.
The Pajir Tingmeng do, the Pali Shungshisha Chavina, Pajir Chanju Sembe, Chenshi, Jamden, the Loba Lamji Negolia, that Thomasum to Saw Ringi, that because of Negro with that, and that give it Pajir Chanju Sembe, Chenshi Pajir Dimendo, and Tarumos was Sanke. the Sanskrit tradition sharing design Sanjum the Gulaman so on and any Tasa Chugulama, Juber, Kasachi. And not that and then a Paul so Zavachuni to Tamjalo, Chu Gule, your mission do, any Juber, not sober, then now Kasachi from the Shajatuba, any and then a Paul so Zavachuni such. Chazanga, Tumu to Janangola, Sato Sanjib and Zavazava Mado, Sao. 대권의 상계 스무지 다 롱주조 다 샹드 수고 롱주조의 구 주셔시레스 다 샹드 롱 수고 롱주조의 구디 추구인의 샤레스 다 추구디 담아가야서 차대요.
And then as for an instance of a bodhisattva, according to Pali system, very likely it would be the person who is sharing the continuum with the Bodhisattva while he was following the path and in the process of accumulating merits for 3 countless eons. So that alone would be the example or the instance for a bodhisattva. However, according to this Sanskrit system, as found in the Uttara Tantra, when speaking about the 12 divine deeds of the Bodhisattva, it is mentioned that the Bodhisattva, he remained unwavered from his meditative absorption into the ultimate reality, and remaining unwavered and simultaneously arose himself in the aspect of the emanation bodies, thereby performing the 12 deeds or 12 divine deeds, such as the transmigrating from the divine, the celestial realm to the human realm, and so forth. So, and however, the Buddha did demonstrated freshly achieving a Buddhahood, but that is for a mere display for the ordinary beings, for the common beings, and not for those fully ripened with the karmas and so forth. So we see that, in fact, all these 12 deeds of the Buddha, they are considered as a mere display, the emanation display of the enjoyment body of the Buddha. And the enjoyment body of the Buddha, or the Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, and the Sambhogakaya, it is said to arise from the Dharmakaya. So this is the Dharmakaya which we are discussing here in the second line of the first stanza, chapter 1, which says, who are endowed with the Dharmakaya. Particularly,
one form of Dharmakaya is Dhanakaya.
More specifically, we can attach this Dharmakaya with Dhanakaya.
Then Dhanakaya yonsho di kares lawina lubur namda ki lubur namda top yunduzane any ita kemba top cha yunguyare lubur namda yonya di ranshin namda yoba inza lubur namda chungare ta dharma ta kaya sa ngon chuni ku slo yundu ta ranshin namda che ranshin namda ge ingtala lubur jmatada pangbe chawe yonde dening che ti dharma ta kaya chuni ku sa.
So then the question is, from where did this Dharmakaya come? Then it says that this is possible. Dharmakaya, or Dhanakaya, this is possible through through having the purification, complete purification of the adventitious stains. And because of this, the omniscient nature becomes consummated in its full form. And this consummation of the omniscient nature coming forth from the elimination of the adventitious stains, all adventitious stains, is because of the existence of the Dharmatakaya, which is the ultimate, the truth body of the Buddha, referring to the national body of the Buddha. So this national body of the Buddha are characterized by total freedom, total purification of the adventitious stains, is referred to as Dharmatakaya.
다 딘데 그 주야기 줍단디 두 파로도 침배 택배 중국 겁라 구시 주지 송요래 이제 디 대셰 14시 말에 다디 대셰 14시디 사운드 베거네 나 라미 중에 송샤야 돼 대셰 14시래샤 구시 주단디.
So now, as to how to achieve these four divine bodies of the Buddha, or the four kayas of the Buddha, we do find explanation in the causal vehicle of the sutra system, but such extensive explanation is not found there. So where do we find the detail, extensive explanation of how to achieve the four divine bodies of the Buddha is only found available in highest yoga tantric system, and particularly in Guhyasamaja Tantra.
The 구시 년齡규다 규내주 14대 패질 말함이 중시샤.
And as to how to achieve the four divine bodies of the Buddha on the basis of the substantial cause of these divine bodies is well explicated in the highest yoga tantric systems.
당연히 나와 시대들이 안다 고물루루 색도 패질 나가 부지래 패질 나가 부지 송래 양 러홀 자진진 송주사 패질이 패질이 나가 부디면 생기 나가 부디 정주 수양 진문인 수익장 송문 랑주 용수 시발에 대라 산지 쮸산.
One of the students of Aranigarjuna perhaps is Nagabodhi, so maybe Rahula. So one of these two said in his writing that enlightenment is not bestowed, or enlightenment or the Buddhahood is not bestowed upon you by anyone, nor is the cause of Buddhahood being held by someone else for you. It is only through discovering one's own true nature of the mind that one achieves Buddhahood.
Oh yeah, no. 다 디간에 가셔서 디시추기 공항 살체. 다 대화를 시작과 사지 요야디 추기군 대셔 전에 대화를 시작디 관련 구도와 다 추기 공항 사게 추기 내주디 다음에 다 세제 세디. 근데 다 타르투게 네가 추구디 땡에디 밀려베긴 지체. 다 타르투게 네가로 말씀 바르기 가som다 추기 방도 추기고도 간시 추기고 스마다 가다 방도 다 달마 방도 다 추기 연대 유를 된댕이 디디 아니 세세 다 군조숨사 디시다.
So then the text reads, as well as the noble children referring to the Bodhisattvas. From this stanza we see as to how the Sugatas come forth from Dharmakaya or Dharmatakaya. And the person or the being who is endowed in its the consummate form of the Dharmatakaya is referred to as the Sangha on the normal learning stage, referring to the Buddhas. And then in order to get to that level, to be qualified as that Sangha of the normal learning, you must proceed through the earlier paths with some level of spiritual realizations and spiritual attainments where the negativities are eliminated. So these beings are referred to as the noble children or the Bodhisattvas. And here is explaining the three jewels. Those Arya Bodhisattvas. Arya Bodhisattvas, and so from this we see the understanding of the three jewels.
So, it is not easy. It is just to recite Buddham Shanam Gacchami, Dhammam Shanam Gacchami, Sangham Shanam Gacchami. We have to know these things. Then, when we recite that word, then you get some kind of feeling. Otherwise, like tape recorder, Buddham Shanam Gacchami, Dhammam Shanam. Sometimes, my Indian friends, sometimes they describe as a kurim.
The sequence.
Buddham Sanam Gacchami, Sangham Sanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sanam Gacchami. In a way, that's quite good. It's both Buddha, Sangha, both come from Dharma. So, Buddham Sanam Gacchami, Sangham Sanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sanam Gacchami, it's all good. But actually, the sequences are
a sequence.
First, Buddha come, and he taught. Then Dharma come. Then, follower of Buddha who actually experience Dharma. Then Sangha come. So therefore, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Actually, first Dharma. Dharma, once we develop the Dharma, that means that wisdom which understand Shunya fully, actually experienced. That is the fourth noble truth, the true path. Once that develop some sort of negative thing, some negative thing on our mind, then eliminate some portion. So these two things are real Dharma. So once that actual sort of the quality develop, then that person become Sangha. So we all suppose candidate of that Sangha now. Further effort, perhaps 10 years or 100 years, 1,000 years, million years, then we may reach Sangha. Then through that way, according to Bodhisattva Yana, then 10 bhumis. Once we develop that actual sort of experience, or become Sangha. That's the first bhumi, then second bhumi, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. Then finally, Buddhahood. So quite long road, isn't it? Not easy. So usually you see 3 eons. 3
countless eons.
So for me, you see, thinking more these lines, that gives me determination. Within 3 years, you can become Buddha. There's too much expectation. Now after 3 years, all hope gone. So there's a modern person do that. You want something very short, right? Shortly, right?
In a short time.
Fast and cheap. Without much effort. Too much enthusiasm. Few weeks, few months, possibly 3 years. Then after that, wow. Put some short.
Then you really become deflated.
So, yeah. Perhaps deep break. Tea, isn't it? So, start. Question.
Kuncha,
any question?
the microphone.
Yes. Hello. Your Holiness, you've talked many times about the Guhya Samaja Tantra text, which has got very good explanations on the nature of the mind. If someone has hesitation about taking a highest yoga tantra initiation, is there any way that one can have access to a text like that to read and study it? Or do you foresee a time in the future that some of these texts may become accessible to people without having to take a highest yoga tantra initiation?
Actually, in order to study these tantric texts, you need initiation. And also like Vinaya, also they practice these things. Also, you see, in Tibet, traditionally, till you get the bhikshu vow, the Vinaya study, not supposed to not allow. But that's not very strict. So now today, it is fact that you see, these tantric teaching already something like open secret. And as a result, a lot of misunderstanding. So therefore,
So here, here in this case, there's a great the purpose and the pros and cons. If you weigh the two, then the pros outweighs the cons.
So therefore, I feel it should be okay study these tantric texts even without a Buddhist, without a Buddhist. I'm non-Buddhist also. You see, I think worthwhile to study like that.
But how does one have access to it? I am a Buddhist, but I have hesitation about taking a highest yoga tantra initiation. So how would I get access to a Guhya Samaja teaching text?
I think this moment, I think most probably, firstly, you should learn Tibetan.
I'm trying.
I think Guhya Samaja, these important texts not yet translated.
There are several translations.
Huh?
One has an unpublished PhD thesis at the University of London of 12 chapters.
그래서
First 12 chapters as a thesis in the University of London. Oh, the first 12 chapters were translated by Francesca Fremantle, and as in the archive of University of London is available. And there's other translations, but I don't think another one is published, not yet. I will be publishing, so I have planned to publish. Soon. Ringma Sedrin, yes, also Guhya Samaja.
전세 연말반다.
No.
전세.
Dönse, no, it's not complete. Three chapters of Dönse. 3 chapters one of my students did, but still not complete. But that's one project.
The first, second, third.
First, second, third chapter.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Oh, then, very important part of the chapter. The first, second, third.
Yes.
Yeah.
One student did that, and then he.
So some translation available.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you for that.
Okay. With Janet Chen and Java.
Very good. Very good.
No.
Very good. Yes.
Your Holiness, you've been talking about cultivating loving kindness and compassion towards all. But I would like to ask you a question about a situation where a group of people have power and they abuse power. For instance, like in Burma, the people are practicing Buddhists, they are very compassionate, they are very peaceful. But what should be our attitude towards the military junta in Burma? What should be our attitude?
Of course, your question, one way spiritual, one way politics. The people who come from Buddhist background, not necessarily very compassionate. You know, I think in 30s, the most ruthless Mongolian president, Che Persang, originally monk. Then he became a revolutionary, communist revolutionary, and he actually killed his own guru as a sort of hero, end religion. So including his own teacher, I think more than 100,000 Mongolian monks killed in 30s. I think 37 or something. So, and then I think most probably Pol Pot, also Buddhist, come from Buddhist family. So people come from Buddhist community, if turn negative way, I think worst kind. So one day, if Dalai Lama turned that way, oh, then very dangerous. Ka. 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 So in the Burmese case, even the United Nations General Secretary made every effort, fail. For the time being, we cannot do anything. Just watch and pray, that's all. As far as Aung San Suu Kyi is concerned, I wrote and sent some message, but it failed, nothing, of course, nothing. So for the time being, and one thing quite sure, you see, such people, their power will not remain forever, that's certain. Now question is, whether Aung San Suu Kyi's life can have sufficient that or not. That question. Otherwise, I don't know. No problem. And like the bad case, nothing can be done. These are fact, reality. And over a billion Chinese people there, under control. Here, one thing I want to share. On this planet, I think government level or general sort of level always talk importance of economy, money, money, money. I think Indian Prime Minister recently, when he was in Washington, he made some voice that India, economically, little backward, little behind than China. But India, other values, democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of press, rule of law, transparent, he mentioned these things. That I think very, very important. If we talk only money, 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 then totalitarian regime in Peking, you see, they are quite successful. So they always become more proud. If we talk only money, 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 then here are some newsmen, no newsmen, no media people. No, these are not political statements. Then the proud becoming arrogant. Not good. So if we, like led by Indian Prime Minister already mentioned, so emphasis more the basic human values, freedom, individual freedom, liberty, rule of law, free press, transparent. Actually, Chinese people want that. If we emphasize, if we talk more these things, then these narrow-minded, because of power hunger, power hungry, these then psychologically feel a little weak. If you only talk, oh, beautiful building, construction, oh, wonderful, wonderful. That's not right. What do you think? Okay. I think America, you hear, I think must show the world the basic human values.
We have a better chance now. Our banks have collapsed.
Actually, my recent meeting with Obama, I mentioned these things. United States, as the greatest democratic country, or biggest democratic country, as a superpower, democratic country. So United States must stress these basic values. Then dealing with China become more easier. If talk only economy, then they become more arrogant, as I feel. Isn't it? Isn't it? India also, you see, you can say India is the most populated, population-wise, India is the greatest democratic country, most stable since India became independence. Look now, Pakistan, Burma, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, this country, most stable. Although some drawbacks here and there are some corruptions also there, but basically very stable, very peaceful, harmonious. I always telling the Chinese friends, look, India, the South Indian, different language, different script, big differences, north, south, east, west, but no danger of separation. Keep its own identity, its own culture, its own language, under law, equal, individual freedom, very good. So I often is telling Chinese friend, look, India must learn from Indian experience. That let Tibetan or Uyghur people and Mongol people, let them carry their own sort of identity, their own culture, their own language. But for common interest, we can live together happily. Always out of fear, out of distrust, and try to control. It's old-fashioned. These are actually self-destruction. Sometimes I tell you, this is my friend, I'm Marxist as far as socio-economic theory is concerned. I'm still Marxist. So I totally against capitalism. Yeah, when will you remove that? You become younger now. Looks younger now. Young professor. Kasa, kalau suci lu sini.
Economy.
Socio-economic. Say, as far as socio-economic theory is concerned, I am Marxist. So I believe, it seems to me, Lenin, I think under particular circumstances, civil war, and also some external sort of threat, the Bolshevik revolution. So that period, you see, I think at the sort of time of something like war. So some emergency sort of authoritarian sort of power and some ruthlessness. That eventually become a part of their life, their system. So I feel, sometimes I tell you, my friend, the Lenin spoiled honest Marxism, spoiled. Now totalitarian system, rule of terror, everywhere suspicion. Even family suspect each other, then rule. Inhuman. So that cannot remain forever. It will change. People's world with China, now over 60 years, the Mao's era, the Deng Xiaoping era, Jiang Zemin era, now President Hu Jintao era, 4 eras, big differences. Now today, I think some marvelous thing, some strange thing is Chinese Communist Party without communist ideology, and communist, capitalist communist. Impossible. That's a really miracle, isn't it? One my friend, one Nobel laureate, he socialist. So in the past, he favored about people from China as a socialist country. So recently I met, and then I asked him, what China now, socialist? And he, because of that, without sort of thinking, he immediately responds, no, not socialist country, capitalist country, authoritarian system. He mentioned that. It is true. Yes?
Do you believe in universal karma? Like individual. The question is, do you believe in universal karma? Individually, we strive to change our karma by becoming, work towards becoming Buddha. There are some people that say that there's universal karma, and for example, the situation in Haiti or wars, this is the universe speaking. What is your feeling on that?
Yes, this is because
there is what is known as collective karma.
Collective karma. No. So, very clear for Tibetan case, and also the now current the Haiti people, because of the collective karma, due to that, at the same time, same place, suffer because of that, simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
No, simultaneously.
Oh. So these are collective karma. Collective karma, when they create collective karma, not necessarily collectively, individual, different place, or different even planet, different universe, the same amount of karma. So then, at the one time, these individuals who have similar sort of karma, then born together, one place, and kasota, suffer simultaneously, like that. We Tibetan also, like that. So therefore, and then also, I think like here, at least 200 people, one place, same time, you see, some kind of create some kind of very, very positive, emotion, such as sort of compassion or faith or something, with help of wisdom, according to Buddhism. Faith, compassion must combine with wisdom. As we already discussed yesterday and this morning also. So the faith, the compassion without help of wisdom, then sometimes may become like blind faith. So deep, because of deep level, weak. Or faith, or compassion, any sort of because of that. Mental attitude, with help of wisdom, or with with help of wisdom, then very solid, very, very solid. So therefore, you see, if we create simultaneous, because at the same time, same place, together, some sort of faith or meditation on faith or compassion, then it creates some kind of energy, common energy. I think it is possible. The people surrounding this area, in deeper level, may have some kind of vibration. I think that's possible. Yes?
Your Holiness, a French philosopher, or was it poet, said that the heart has its reasons which reason does not know. I think that translated correctly. In my experience, that's true. What is the Buddhist view from the mind on this? That the heart has its reasons, which the reason or the mind does not know.
Oh, that, yes, in Buddhist also. It's something like a stage. Now, for example, now here we are sort of certain of the story, right?
Third story.
Now, certain things from here we can guess what is there. Something, unless we reach there, we cannot sort of infer.
Yes.
So similarly, some deeper experience or deeper concept, unless you reach certain level, you cannot sort of infer. That's there. So therefore, according to Buddhism, the kasa, Tong you said the kasa,
in Buddhism, in Buddhist logical system, there is what is known as the three kinds of phenomena. Number one is evident phenomena. Number two is slightly hidden phenomena. And number three is absolutely hidden phenomena.
So first level, no need reason. Just directly see or feel or experience. And then second level, you cannot see or cannot experience directly. But then through reasons, there may be something because of this indication, because of this, there must be that, there must be that. That's second level. Like shunyata, that's second level. We cannot see directly. But through reasons, through analyze, yes, you can realize, there is something. And deeper level, different sort of different reality than the apparent reality. That we can guess through reasons, the second level. The third level, now for example, I think my own case, I think everybody's case, I think the birthday, there's no way to know birthday unless relying our mother or some our friend. There are also, you see, we need, firstly, to prove there is no reason to tell lie. Now, for example, my mother, there's no reason to tell lie about my birthday. Right? And mother's memory also very good. Not sort of drunk or something like that. So through various reasons, then prove or make sure my mother's statement, at least at this point, is something 100% correct. Then we rely on my birthday, such year, such month and date. Otherwise, one single person, oneself, no way to know. Isn't it? So that's the third phenomena, right?
No.
No.
A third kind of phenomena with respect to one individual person as to how something is absolutely obscured unless you rely on someone else's words.
So certain sort of deeper, very, very deep experience. For example, the mind innermost subtle clear light. Say, very difficult to infer, survey. Infer.
No.
Very difficult. Roughly, we can say during awakening state, there are 3 levels of thought or
mind.
Some are with grosser level of energy. One, more subtler. I think, for example, in Guhya Samanja, you see, categorize, I think, 80 different thoughts, minds. 3 groups, 40, then 30, 37, 33, 33, then 7. So these, you see, according to our daily experience, see, now here you see one example. Dislike, they are more stronger sort of energy or something, more forceful, dislike. Like second level, compare that, little weaker. Neutral, much weaker. So through that way, the ultimate source of different mind or different thought, there must be 3 levels.
So we see that within the domain of our grosser levels of the mind, we see there are 3 levels, very gross, subtle, and very subtle. So on the basis of that, then we tend to infer as to what are the corresponding 3 subtle levels of the mind which give rise to these 3 grosser levels of the mind. So this is not exactly as a perfect way of inferring or a perfect way of predicting the thing, but it is something like using some kind of analogy and then trying to predict. It's a little bit vague.
So then it is certain, now for example, the clear light, the 4th state. Now that kind of thing, difficult, unless you gain some deeper experience in certain level, certain stage. Otherwise it's difficult. So then we have to rely on those tests or those texts or statements made by person who actually experienced these things. So here also we need on that person actually have the experience. No reason to tell a lie. Impossible be hypocrisy. Then can be
reliable.
And there also, firstly, like it's a Buddha statement, so we have to sort of utilize the Buddha statement because of the Shingo, again, Jizben, Zuxlunyaga, Jiz Sanje Galas, any Tom Yutambe Musung Nyoyan never never. Jungse Go Yutambe Chala, Rigbe Chana never never. That did do surgery, that Shingo Tembe Nizute, Mazu Rigbe Tukumute, that in Paji Nondringumaris. Dian, Kazu, Dachi Shimber Carolina, never shine Mindos. So that the name is an called Rigbe Tuta Mindute, that do Savachana, they is
So if you take a testimony or a statement of a Buddha or the teaching of a Buddha, then you first analyze the content matter of the Buddha's teaching. First, you try, with respect to the subject matter of the first level of the reality or phenomena, which is the evident phenomena, you see if there is any contradiction with your direct perceptions, experiences that you have. And then when you see that there is no contradiction on that level, then you try to explore on the subtler level, which is with the slightly hidden phenomena. You try to infer, you try to use reasons and logics to see to whether there is any contradiction to the teachings taught by the Buddha on this second level, the slightly hidden level. And then if you don't see any contradiction there as well, then you can get some kind of confidence in the teacher, which is the Buddha in this case, that that, what he teaches accords with the reality. So it's not something that there is contradiction that you can find. And then on the basis of that, you gain a slight confidence in that. And then on top of that, if you check from his own teachings whether there is any contradictions, internal contradictions in terms of his own teachings, then if you see that there is no internal contradiction, nor that any other valid reasonings destroy or rejects the positions as set forth in the Buddha's teaching, then you can gain a more profound experience or profound confidence that what the Buddha taught in respect to the third phenomenon as well is valid.
Why it mentioned women? So that's relevant to me. You see, in Vancouver, our discussion about the compassion, these things, I mentioned is a female, biologically, some sort of greater potential of compassion.
Generating compassion towards others.
So therefore, in order to promote on this planet about compassion, women should take more active role for promotion. So then I mentioned, my sort of view may, to some people, may see me as a feminist. So at that time, Robin Khasa, the former Mary Robinson. So then later, our meeting, she mentioned me, feminist Dalai Lama. So this woman, mentioned women.
Men are more competitive. Men are more competitive. That's why they have a man on there, I guess.
Like that. So they are reaching Shigividi. So now, for example, some of these, I think, very subtle sort of point, which Nagarjuna really made very, very clear sort of statement or explanation. And then also, some cases, so some sort of argument, what are called Mahayana, not true teaching of Buddha. And particularly, there is no Buddhist Tantrayana. So, the Nagarjuna accepted, of course, Mahayana text, like Panchaparamita text, is true Buddhist teaching. Nagarjuna accepted that. And some of their great Madhyamika philosophers' texts, many quotation of Mahayana text. So they consider these are true Buddha's own sort of statement or speech. So then also is Nagarjuna and Aryadeva and Chandrakirti, these made sort of a wonderful text about Buddhist Tantrayana. So then, usually my argument is, firstly, Nagarjuna, Indian, and only after 400 years, after Buddha, 400 years. So he should have better knowledge about India than Western scholars. Western scholars, after 2,500 years, you see, they guess about Buddha, whether it taught Mahayana or not, or whether there is Buddhist Tantrayana or not. I think Nagarjuna should know better. Then thirdly, then another reason, Nagarjuna, a monk, good monk, not a liar. And he must tell truth. Right? And then also Nagarjuna, not a dull person. Is some kind of blind faith sort of person. Or then, sometimes even it's difficult to distinction, dreams and reality. Sometimes my own case was something happened many years ago. Something happened, then second thought, oh, that's at that time I dreamt all the reality.
So at one point, I started wondering whether what I could remember, whether what I could recall is what really happened or there was a part of my dream.
At that time, So Nagarjuna, not that kind of person. His mind is very sharp. And even he, you see, not accept some Buddha's own word if there is some sort of through analytical through investigation. If he found contradiction, then he not accept even Buddha's own sort of words. So such person, very sharp mind, very logical mind, right?
No.
And good monk. So on these basis, then I believe Nagarjuna's statement is quite reliable. Through that way, I accept what Nagarjuna says. So I prefer I prefer Nagarjuna than Western some of the scholars.
So do I.
Oh.
So do I.
That's a. Like that. So one occasion in Delhi, one meeting, whether you see these Mahayana texts, whether you see Buddha taught or not. So I put this argument. Like that. So I really feel. So among Chinese, some Chinese in Taiwan as well as in mainland China, believe you see, Tibetan Buddhism is distorted Buddhism. Some. Even some sort of books also is there. Recently, last year, when I was in Taiwan, there were some demonstrations. Actually, you see, they mentioned Dalai Lama not carrying true teaching of Buddha. So later, of course, you see, in newspaper, you see mentioned that these people are some part of gangsters, and some manipulated by pro-Chinese communists. Like that. So, but in any way, you see, they showing their disagree what Tibetan Buddhism, what I carry, Tibetan Buddhism, like that. So these are lack of contact and lack of understanding, like that. So in such case, I think thorough study about Guhi Samaja and the clear presentation and with sort of history, brief history of Nagarjuna, Aryadeva, and then Chandrakirti. I think latest or another sort of, I think, the effective sort of fact is, I think 11th century, Atishan Dibamgara came to Tibet. And in his writing, refer quite a number of highest tantric teaching. 조요가라 준중자자를 주나로리아 멍구지 대저거도 멍구지도 and 람전 가사
Bodhipat Pradeep.
In there also you see he mentioned about highest tantra yoga, like that. So it is quite true. And then I think some brief mention. I think tomorrow morning I will tell you something. So now,
Your Holiness, one more question.
Yes.
Just now you commended very much what our Prime Minister told President Obama about India's democracy, free speech, rule of law, and values, etc. But some of us who have been struggling against inhuman exploitation of the Indian people by the Indian people, we find this story different. we find that nearly 7,000 children are dying every day in India of starvation. We find 50% of all children suffering from malnutrition. We find 66% of all expecting women suffering from anemia, so on and so forth. On the human development scale prepared by the UN, we are Human Development Report. We are going down and down. From 124th position to 128th, we are now 132nd, 132. So this way, the gap between the rich and the poor is widening in our country.
Yes.
India has some of the richest in the world, and India has some of the largest number of the poorest in the world. And this is in spite of this so-called democracy or free speech or rule of law, etc. And whenever we raise these basic questions, why are the poor being alienated from their land rights, forest rights, water rights, etc., etc., and why are the corporates being given over all the entitlements or ownership of these rights, privatization, then we are being accused of being sort of sympathizers of the Maoist or some such thing. So their own constitutional provisions are not being implemented. India has also been pronounced to be a socialist republic, but it's out and out a capitalist policies which are being implemented in our country. So I would like to know exactly how would you suggest contextualization of compassion in this situation to fight against these global forces of greed and global forces of violence which are dictating the development policies in our country.
I think country over nearly billion or little over billion human being. It's quite natural. It's a lot of sort of poverty or difficulties. And some unhealthy things bound to happen. And then to some extent, I think lack of kasota, sense of common responsibility, little bit extreme individualist sort of kasota attitude. So the gap rich and poor, global level or national level, that's very, very serious. Not only morally wrong, but practically also source of problem. We have to take that very seriously. But like those socialist countries, you see, equalize in economic field, that also fail. So with full freedom, and both sides, poorer section of the people and wealthier section, both have the responsibility to reduce this. How? I feel, on many occasions, particularly when one might visit Africa, so I expressed that. Particularly in Gabon, many years ago, I had an opportunity to visit there. That's Dr. Shueza Sarve, one French, one I think Dr. Shueza or something. Oh, yes, his small center in Gabon. One time, you see, of course, he no longer there. I know his face. I saw his picture when I was in Tibet, in Life magazine, you see shows, and with some tears like that, his the mustache like that. That I remember very clearly. So, some time ago, I received one invitation from the organization in Gabon. So I had the opportunity to visit there. So in the capital, some function take place. So the leaders, French-speaking, and looks like a European. Just outside the city, the local people, I think still remain like many centuries ago.
Many centuries ago condition.
Naked, hunting. Very, very poor. So I really felt a huge gap within their own country. Leadership, trained by French, speak French very well. Lifestyle, something completely different than their masters. How can work if we remain that kind of isolated? So I really shocked in any way. And since then, you see, I quite often use it telling, particularly when I met some industrialists there, some multinational companies are so industrialists, some sort of people. I always mention using this gap, rich and poor. This must reduce. So the richer nation or richer family within the nation must provide, firstly, our attitude to the poorer section, human way, with respect, showing our concern, showing our respect, showing our love. That gives them some kind of more self-confidence. And then give them instrument or education and instrument training. Then the weaker section of the people, instead of jealousy or frustration, with full self-confidence, work hard. And equipment and facility must provide by richer side. The common effort then reduce this gap. I think that's the only way. And then India, another problem, the caste system, which Buddha himself, you see, against. So when I was in Peking, Chairman Mao, one occasion mentioned to me, Buddha Shakyamuni was revolutionary person. He against India's existing sort of discriminations. He mentioned that. So in any way, I think from the viewpoint of Brahmanic belief, I think four castes come from the Brahma's four faces, isn't it? So in any way, from same source, isn't it? So then, you see, no reason. One caste looks a little bit lower, one caste looks a little bit higher. That's not God's intention. God, I think, they purposely, you see, they has to create, from that viewpoint, to create some sort of different sort of caste, but I think for different purpose, not a discrimination. It's very clear. So I think some religious leaders, just I mentioned this morning, religious leaders, I think should come forward and speak more strongly. We must sort of change some of bad habit. Under constitution, under law, everybody equal. Then this is and then also sometimes we become lazy. You see, they just accuse due to my karma, due to your karma. You should remain poor. These are wrong. Karma, our own creation. So therefore, we can change our destination by ourselves. Everything depends on our own effort. So there need hope, vision, determination. That's very important. So I think the poorer section of the people, instead of sort of that, kasore.
Being frustrated.
Crying, kasore,
Frustration.
frustration, and eventually frustration transform anger. Anger transform violence. And this morning, our meeting is mentioned about Naxalite. So then some wicked people may manipulate. The frustrated people, you see, easily can manipulate. So everybody's, huh?
The government is on the side of the rich. That creates frustration.
Really?
Yeah.
Then why you vote that way? Tell people. I think comparatively in this country, I think quite healthy, quite healthy. Democracy, of course there are a lot of drawbacks, but comparatively I think very, very successful. I think in totalitarian regime, people from China and Korea, there are, especially Korea, there are actually starvation there. But nobody knows close society. Indian case, maybe one individual, very remote village may have, without notice by media people. Otherwise, something happened, immediately it's come out. So much better. So you must find ways and means to overcome these things with democratic institution. It's much better. That's no question, isn't it? No question. I think 2 years ago, I met some Chinese student from Chandigarh who actually study in Chandigarh University, come from mainland China. Buddhist. When I met them, their attitude is truly Buddhist, making us a prostration like that, and very sincere Buddhist. But then they mentioned to me, perhaps for China, totalitarian system may be better because there are so many poor people. Then I told, yes, in a certain aspect, a totalitarian system, like former Soviet Union, and also I think in Peking, one young girl can go during night without fear. During Soviet Union, when one occasion I was in Moscow, you see, no fear, everything tight control. So use that and then say, totalitarianism is much better. Cannot say that. So any system, there are good things, there are bad things. All because of drawbacks things there. So we have to look holistic way. So from the holistic way, I think existing system of this country, I think much better. There is room making effort, reduce this gap, and reduce these unjust sort of old systems. We are free. Speak more and tell people, tell leader, if necessary, go to the parliament and shout. And in case some necessary, you arrange some demonstration, I will join. Like that. So in the free country, we have every opportunity. Making effort. Without making effort, just to complain, not use. Come forward. So, some I think Japanese monk as well as the Korean monk, when they necessary, you see, they do it like that. Good, thank you. Now, takasa nungiri. Yeah. So now once we once we knows fairly well about our ultimate destination or goal, Buddhahood and know some awareness, the possibility how to achieve that, how to reach that. Then, firstly, think oneself. How I can reach there. Then, I think two ways. One, morally speaking, just think oneself. It's very selfish. Limitless sentient beings, same equal right. All have the desire, same desire to overcome suffering. So that's from the moral basis. And then second, actually, one individual take care more others' well-being, you get maximum benefit. The more self-centered attitude, finally, you will be loser. And from the spiritual level, think more other. Even you see, recite one mantra, say, Buddham Shanam Gacchami, Dhammam Shanam Gacchami, Sangham Shanam Gacchami, motivated by my own liberation. The merit very limited. Recite because of the refuge.
No,
Buddha Dharma Sangha. And then, you see, but motivated benefit for infinite sentient being. Then merit because of the motivation and aim. The merit is immense. So from that viewpoint also, you see, thinking more about well-being of limitless sentient being, that's the best way to acquire kasachuti. Merit. So both level, practical level also, think more about other. You get much benefit, and morally speaking, much worthy. Think or talk about others' well-being. So then that leads the determination to desire, achieve Buddhahood in order to serve infinite sentient being. That we call bodhicitta, infinite altruism. Infinite altruism. The first way, we need clear vision, clear understanding, awareness, the Buddha stage, Buddhahood, and the way to reach there, the potential of Buddhahood already here, and the method how to reach there, how to shaping that Buddha nature, transform real Buddha. Fuller knowledge, then real enthusiasm come. Then make effort. Time doesn't matter. 1 year, 10 year, 100 year, 1,000 year, million year, billion year, eons, doesn't matter. Once we set up something like train, once we set up, then only question of time, one day we reach there. So like that. So then you really feel purposeful, meaningful life. So long you're alive. Do service other people as much as you can. Then after that, because of merit of this action or this motivation, it's 100% guarantee your next life equally be useful being. Then continuously serve, carry continuously this practice, this mental practice, mind training as well as actual physical practice. Got that. Is it blind faith? What do you think? Oh. So therefore, now the point, now how to develop the infinite altruism. In order to bring effort, tireless effort for that practice, first you know the value or benefit of that altruism. So now the first chapter is to mention that. So I'm not going to detail. First chapter mainly, how much benefit if you cultivate infinite altruism. According to my own experience, of course, I have not yet sort of fully developed the bodhicitta or altruism, not yet. But my mind, as I briefly yesterday mentioned, my age about 30, I think up to late 30, I have some feeling about salvation with help of understanding of shunyata. Some feeling. Then I develop real desire to achieve salvation. But then think about infinite altruism. I really admire, I wish, but little hesitate whether I can really practice that or not. Then my age, after receiving Jesus' teaching, Shantideva's teaching, 67, then I regularly read this and meditate on this, and meantime also telling other people teaching of this text. Then somehow my mind really big change. Nowadays, bodhicitta or the altruism, if infinite altruism, as soon as I wake up morning, immediately remember these things. And bodhicitta, not actually develop, but some kind of, I think, semi-bodhicitta, maybe there. I think with help of wisdom, understanding of shunyata. So then, I think, seems as my physical become much more healthier. Even flu also much reduced. Previously, whenever I go to Bodh Gaya, one thing quite sure, flu will get. Because of blessing of Bodh Gaya. Too much dust, too much dirty. But nowadays, even if one day or few hours, some sniff, like I already have, you see, and some liquid, few hours, then stop. I think basic body element seems to see much stronger, like that. I believe all these happen due to, I think, my peace of mind. Peace of mind comes, this altruistic, infinite altruism is immense benefit. And with this kind of motivation, this kind of mental attitude, no troublemaker, no enemy. Even those people who conventionally, superficially, they create some problems. But when Chinese communists describe me as a demon, the first time, some press reported in this Chinese comment. Then I was in Italy, northern Italy. Several mayors gathered in order to support Tibet. So many mayors are communist. So then we together there. Then some press media people, first time mentioned to me, oh, now Chinese media is mentioned to you as a demon. What is your comment? I felt, laugh. And then I immediately respond, oh, wonderful. Now, not only one demon, but there are many demons. Then those Italian communist mayors, they also say, oh, we are very proud to be demon. Such accusation is silly, baseless, but actually silly. It makes laugh. Nothing Kasota, feel something. And then last year, 2008, 10th March crisis. Really, very, very pain, much anxiety. But deeper level, now, as I mentioned yesterday, Shantideva's advice, if there's no way to overcome, no worry. So like that. And instead of anger or sort of what's today, frustration, you develop more also compassion, sense of concern of these people. Such ignorant, such short-sighted. And their mind fully dominated by fear, anger, hatred. So they themselves become slave of this destructive emotion, isn't it? So sufficient reason to feel sad, sympathy, instead of sort of anger or frustration. Like that. So that, although it is no help to solve the problem, but my emotion level, immense help to keep calm. So like that. So these practice of altruism is immense benefit. Once, as soon as you start that practice, you already begin kasota, permanent happiness. Go like that. So first chapter mentioned about that. And then also is another thing. Once we determine that altruism, then day and night, even you just sleep without thinking, or even some little sort of stupid thing you are doing, doesn't matter. Basically your mind aiming that way. Dedicate your body, speech, mind to well-being of entire sentient being. And then it mentioned, even you are doing some nonsense things, the merit second by second increasing because of your such determination. It mentioned that. So very wonderful. Then second chapter. Now second chapter, how to proceed. There's some form of kasota, ritual for development of determination of this altruism. For that, 7 or 8 limbs is mentioned: prostration and offering and confession, and then as a yina,
Rejoicing.
Rejoice. Then there's ask limitless Buddha, live long, and limitless Buddha, please give teaching. Then finally, dedication. And also one refuge, take refuge. So altogether 8 limbs. So the second chapter, I think out of 8 limbs, 3 in second chapter, and then third chapter, the remaining of the 8 limbs. Then finally, the procedure, how to make pledge. So perhaps tomorrow, I think, that's okay, please sit down. I think time
Available.
I think sufficient. So we just read the second chapter tomorrow, then third chapter, then at the end, the performance of pledge, determine or cultivate altruism. and make some kind of pledge. Now, from today
onwards,
from today till Buddhahood, I will keep this determination. So that, I think, a very good practice, very good start. Even non-Buddhist, doesn't matter. It's in that kind of pledge. I will carry altruistic sort of mental attitude, no matter what situation. Even non-believer, very good, that kind of determination. So to non-believer, the 7 limbs, I don't know. Some meaning or not, I don't know. But in any way, we can, so that you can develop some kind of determination at the end. So that means 3 chapters are completed. So, okay. So that is the way of teaching, like 21st century jet. So 3 chapters completed now. Yes. Now, please, tomorrow, please bring this text. Then I will give you the instruction. Then we together, chanting, read. Then in a certain stage, we made pledge, like that. Then after that, the initiation of our Lord Shara. Something quite special. Also the initiation or blessing of our Lord Shara, which I am going to give you tomorrow, that is actually one of the vision of 5th Dalai Lama. So 5th Dalai Lama, although the 2nd Dalai Lama, also you see a lot of visions, seeing limitless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then I think 3rd Dalai Lama also as well. Then 4th, I don't know. Oh, the 1st Dalai Lama also used to have vision of Tara and some other sort of the Bodhisattvas or Buddhas. Then of course Lama Tsongkhapa also used to have a lot of sort of visions. Visions,
pure visions. No, visions.
Visions, right?
No.
Visions. And many great Lama, is that kind of sort of experience. So that also one sort of what's the reason certain mysterious things which we cannot sort of infer, but accept as a fact because of these sort of experience. So my own generation, one Lama, who spent, I think, 18 years in Chinese Gulag after 59. And then early 80, like some other Tibetan, he also found opportunity to come to India. So then one day, and then of course, I know, since we are in Tibet, a very good Lama. So one occasion, just our casual talk, you see, he mentioned one occasion he gives some teaching of his own lineage to one Dengku Chendzir Rinpoche, another Nyingma Lama, very good one. I also received many teaching from him. So this Lama, who spent 18 years in Chinese Gulag, when he performed some blessing of his own lineage, at that time, at one day, all previous Lamas, all that lineage, all appears in the
columns,
Ah.
the columns, the beams of the
Beams. So all these, the lamas who are involved in the lineage of this particular teaching, they appeared on the beams of that teaching hall.
So such things, very mystery, unless you yourself experience. Otherwise, you see, difficult to believe. But again, you see, this Lama, old Lama, no reason to tell me lie. If he tell lie, I won't sort of believe easily. I think he may know that. And then also, you see, he spent 18 years in Chinese Gulag. He sort of he really experienced tremendous difficulties. And very good monk. So therefore, no reason to tell lie. So I believe what he stated. So such thing. There are, you see, people. Some are still inside Tibet, getting some kind of extraordinary visions, and receive some teachings. It is something alive, like that. So then 13th Dalai Lama also getting some visions. And the 9th Dalai Lama, very young age he passed away, but a lot of visions. So I receive, you see, whenever I look him, you see, immediately stand up. Now I remain like this. So when I was young, not very young, I think 14, 15 years age, I received some set of the 15th Dalai Lama's visions from different deities, including this. I received from one of my main guru, also regent at that time. I received him. So although you see, I never have these visions, but during that period, every night I got some strange dreams. Every night. You see, what deity receiving, what deity's blessing receiving next day, the previous night, some dream clearly connected with that is a deity. That I have. Like that. So I have some sort of connection with 15th Dalai Lama. I never kill him. I am the same person, 15th Dalai Lama, but I have some clear sort of connection, special connection with 15th Dalai Lama. There's no question. One night in recent years, one night I dreamt one painting, 15th Dalai Lama. Then from that painting, the real person come and showing me smile and give me, because of the
Scarf.
Yellow, long, very, very long yellow scarf. I think, you see, I feel at that time, I sort of was revived 15th Dalai Lama's restriction about Shungden. So I carried that. So I think he indicated some kind of appreciation. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe wrong. But doesn't matter. But dream is dream. Nothing important. Important is my daily practice. That's something real. And that really helps me. So, you also, now, please, if you have some genuine interest, then practice, implement. Then your life will change. Change in the sense you will be much more happier person. That we want. Isn't it? So, good night. Now,